Concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Like, for real human head and hands?
Yes.
From?
A human head and hands.
As a parent, we all hope to raise our kids well, but sometimes, no matter our best efforts, those kids can grow up to be troubled. For many, a troubled youth just means more help, more effort is needed. Many parents will go to great lengths to get their kids the help they need. But what if it's not enough? What if your child, the light of your life, the baby you gave birth to, goes on to commit a horrendous crime? In today's video, we will be diving into one such story, the story of a family and their one son who simply could not keep his dark passenger at bay. This is Horrible Fates, the mom who found a severed head in her son's bedroom. Welcome to The Cellar. "69-year-old Warren Barnes lived in Grand Junction, Colorado. Grand Junction has a total population of around 65,500 residents. It is the largest western city in Colorado, making it a transportation hub, as the city is the largest between Denver, Colorado, and Salt Lake City, Utah. Grand Junction is known as a good place to live. There's tons of outdoor recreation to be found, from hiking, biking, fishing, rafting, skiing, and snowboarding. The area is also known for its stunning scenery and relatively affordable housing, while also being one of the safest cities in the United States. Warren was well known in the downtown area. Residents would see him walking around with his backpack on while traversing Main Avenue. Warren wore the same clothes almost every day, and from the outside looking in, you could say Warren was a vagrant. At times, when Warren could afford it, he would get a room to spend the night. When Warren couldn't afford a place to sleep, he would simply find a quiet place to rest his head for the evening. During his downtime, Warren would walk to Monique's Bridal and Formal Wear, located at 527 Main Street, downtown Grand Junction. He had formed a bit of a friendship with the shop's owner, Monique Lunati. Monique would go out of her way to provide Warren with his very own chair to sit in when he would stop to read his books. You could often find Warren sitting and reading for hours on end behind Monique's Bridal. When Warren wasn't relaxing and reading, he was often working for a local temp agency. If you were an outsider, you would probably take one look at Warren and think he was just some disheveled homeless man. But to the many that had taken the time to get to know him, he was a kind and gentle soul. Over time, the locals would begin referring to Warren simply by his nickname, the Reading Man. On March 1st, 2021, the police were contacted by Monique Lunati. Warren was a man of habit, and he had never missed work before. Monique would receive a phone call from Warren's employer that he had not come in to work. Concerned that no one had seen him in a few days, Monique called the police department to report him missing. In talking with the police, Monique stated, "I have a really bad feeling." She had no idea at the time just how accurate that bad feeling was about to become.
If you've ever been downtown, you guys would see him. He
looks
walks
familiar.
Main Street.
Yeah,
he's always.
Brett probably knows him if he's talking to him.
He's always on Main Street, just with his backpack, just walking and coming down to the shop to sit in his chair, pretty much.
How do you know Warren?
I own Monique's Bridal downtown, and I give him a chair to sit and read his books.
Is it a homeless gentleman?
He's not homeless. He stays in a place. He pays for a room every day. He comes back in the shop because we keep his chair inside the shop to deter other people from sitting in it behind my shop. He works for a company that does just like temp agency, and they were the ones that actually contacted me because he's never missed work, and they know that he sits behind my shops.
So every morning it's around 6?
Yeah.
Without fail?
Without fail.
7 days a week?
Yes. He is there every morning.
All by himself?
Yeah.
But I know he goes to the library a lot as well, because he, like I said, he reads books.
Loves to read.
So you said, what raised concern with you today to report him missing?
Because the place People Ready called to see if I had seen him, because he didn't show up for work, and he's never once not shown up for work in the 4 years he's been working for them. So I said no, and that I hadn't seen him since Saturday. I don't know. I just have a really bad feeling because it's unlike him. And that's the weird thing is I said I'll see you tomorrow. He said I'll be here. I'll see you tomorrow. And then I didn't even think about it when he wasn't there, really.
Does he ever have anybody sit and read with him or
No.
next to him? Does he mention talking to anybody?
No, he doesn't associate with a lot of the like transients because he's not like them. He's very intelligent. Like I don't know why he's homeless. I never really got into like why he chose,
I'm sure you asked.
We are now going to backtrack a little bit to February 28th of 2021. 19-year-old Brian Cohee of Grand Junction, Colorado, was out and about in his car. It was sometime after 8:30 p.m. when Brian phoned his parents for help. His parents would arrive on scene, and they pretty quickly came to the conclusion that there wasn't much they could do. See, Brian had driven his car into the waters of the Colorado River at the Blue Heron boat ramp. Unable to get his car out, Brian phoned his parents, who then phoned the police. The entire ordeal was seemingly just a silly mistake made by an inexperienced and young teenage driver. As you'll see in the video, the atmosphere is pretty lighthearted at the time.
Yeah, we made him wait till he was almost 18 before he got his driver's license because we didn't want him having any accidents like they do when they're 16 and 17 and
Gotcha.
doing stupid things.
This your son right here?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, partner, you want to come out and talk to me real quick?
Sure, I
Appreciate
mean,
it, man.
I'm really cold. Is it okay if it's in here?
He took
Because
off his pants because he had
Okay. That's fine. I did not know that. No, please stay in the car. All right. Nobody else in the car?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
it's just us. I'm the father, that's the mother, and this is our son. He just
Sounds
called us 20
good.
minutes ago and said, Dad, I parked at the boat ramp and I messed up. I tried to get out of the car and it slid down.
Well, you're not hurt, right? You're okay?
no, just a little
Okay.
cold is all.
Beside your pride a little bit?
And probably $7,000.
Okay. All right, man. Do you have your ID with you, driver's license by any chance?
I do. Thankfully,
What were you doing down here, bud?
well, I felt like I needed to get out,
Okay.
and I figured, why not park here and just
Relax a little bit?
relax and think.
Okay.
And I parked on the boat ramp,
Okay.
and I thought it would be easy to get out.
Uh-huh.
But when I tried to,
Where did you park exactly? Were you down the hill a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
And then
When he got back in, go ahead.
when I got back in, I tried to put it in drive, and it didn't go up. So then I tried putting it in low gear, shimmying it a bit. That didn't work.
Were you facing down?
No,
at
I
this
was
point, or were
facing.
you
I was
this
facing
way?
up.
Okay.
You back down?
Yeah,
Really good
because that seemed like the easiest way. Because of the propulsion of the rear tires, I figured they would be able to push.
Okay.
But yeah, then.
Okay.
Yeah, then it slid into the river. I was able to get out.
Because I was like, it's not a crash. He just
Dude, it's like
Parked
8 feet
it.
out in the water.
he parked it and basically couldn't get it up. It just lost traction, looks like, and then he actually went in it
I just
down in the water. He's not hurt at all, so I'm like, how are you gonna get this car out if possible?
Does he need to stay here? Or
I'm sorry?
Is he free to go? I'm sure he'd like to go home and get warm.
I'm sure you'd like to get some pants on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's not a crash. It's
Okay.
Simple
It's just
mistake.
a stupid
Nope.
action.
So-
Okay. All right. I'm going to take him home then, and then we'll come back here and see if we can figure out what's what with the tow truck driver.
son has no pants on.
Brian would be allowed to leave the scene, as he was wet and cold and desperately wanted to just go home and get himself into some fresh, dry clothes. As police in the tow shop continued their efforts to get the car out of the water, they would make a very interesting discovery.
Hey, quick question for you.
Sure.
So the back bumper, I don't know, you can probably see it from here. It's a lot of red on the back of that. Yeah. Dripping down it all a little bit. But underneath the license plate, a little area right there.
Okay.
Okay.
A lot of red, which means looks like blood.
Blood?
Yeah. I don't know if did your son hurt himself on his
I
way
don't
out at all?
He might have, he just didn't know it. I don't know.
That's why I'm asking. It's a good question. He's at home. Is he make sure he's not got a cut or
He just said he's going to bed.
something out on him somewhere that he's not aware of? Maybe because his adrenaline was a little high. Maybe just have him do like a self-check. Make sure he's okay.
Hello?
Brian, are you okay? They see blood on the back bumper of the vehicle.
Really?
Yeah, did you get hurt?
No. What?
Are you Are you sure you don't have any injuries?
No, I'm fine. There's blood on it?
We're not sure.
We're not sure. It's a red, something red underneath the license plate.
Similar blood stain.
Oh no.
All right. But you're not injured. You don't have any cuts?
No, I don't know what would cause blood or whatever it is on the bumper.
But you're not injured?
No, I'm not injured.
Okay. All right. I'll call you back.
Ooh, it's cold out there.
Is it good? Is my car good?
No, Brian, they're trying to get it out. They got to rehook it and try it again.
They're having trouble getting your car out, buddy. All right.
We'll call you back.
Call you back in a little bit. If I can send a message on. Bye.
I got to move my car.
Is there?
I got to move my car for the driver. Okay.
The police would attempt to take a look inside the trunk of the vehicle, but quickly found that Brian had locked it prior to his leaving the scene. Soon the vehicle would be towed away, and it was eventually released back into the custody of the Cohee family. Brian's parents thought the entire ordeal was just a silly accident. They had no idea what the next few days had in store for them all. Now, let's give some backstory on Brian Cohee Jr. From what I gathered, Brian was always a bit of a loner. He was socially awkward and had never had an easy time making friends. A lot of Brian's troubles came to light in middle school. Brian's parents would take him to a doctor, and he was eventually diagnosed with ADHD. He was subsequently placed on medication to help manage his condition. Brian's doctor also came to the conclusion that Brian was on the autistic spectrum and that there was a chance of him developing psychosis. Brian's mother would be referred out for further testing and help for Brian. This is where I would like to point out the faults within the American healthcare system, as Brian's mother was referred out, and on numerous occasions she reached out to places to help her son. According to his mother, every place she called informed her that they could not see him. Eventually, his mother found potential help in Denver, Colorado, but Denver is a 4-hour drive from where Brian and his family lived. The travel and costs alone would be difficult for a lot of families. So not knowing what else to do, Brian's mother managed to at least find him a therapist to go see. For the next year or so, he would continue taking his meds and speaking to his therapist. But then COVID hit in early 2020. Brian would attempt to do sessions over the phone, but it was clear that these sessions were no longer benefiting him. According to Brian's parents, he seemed to be doing pretty good at the time. He graduated high school, and he got a job. According to reports, he was consistently going to work, and his parents were hopeful for his future. Brian had always been a challenging teenager, but he had never exhibited any violent tendencies. He never got into any fights whatsoever. In research, I did find a few red flags that I'd like to touch on. Now, if you're watching this, then you probably have a fascination with true crime-related topics. I know I've built my channel around it, and I've always been fascinated, even from a young age. Unsolved Mysteries was a show my parents watched late at night after I went to bed, and it always intrigued me. At the same time, the music for the show and Robert Stack's impeccable voiceover work also terrified me when I was younger. I mean, even to this day, the Unsolved Mysteries music evokes a chill that courses through my body. So being fascinated with true crime-related topics isn't necessarily a precursor for any bad habits later in life. But Brian was a bit obsessed with crime, to the point his mother bought him a crime scene investigation book, and Brian was talking about going into the military to become a crime scene investigator. In the eyes of Brian's parents, they were trying to positively encourage Brian into taking his fascination with true crime and steering it towards a possible career where he could do good in the world. The biggest red flag took place about a year prior to Warren Barnes' disappearance. I will let Brian Cohee tell you about what his parents found.
Call me weird, but I think everyone has had thoughts of shooting up their school. I didn't though. And then because of that, I suppose I just don't really like people at all. Last year, my parents found a kit I had been assembling. It had hammers, shovels, knives, large zip ties, duct tape, saw. That wasn't meant for hurting people. They found it though, and they were ready to call the police until I had convinced them it was via other methods, for other things. Like, and it was an ultimatum where if I didn't throw it away, all that, they would call the police, or then I would have been arrested on charges of conspiracy.
In the end, some red flags were there, but Brian had done a good job of convincing his parents that he was okay, that nothing bad was going to ever happen. So on February 28th, Brian's car is pulled out and towed from the water in which he got it stuck. Fast forward to the afternoon of March 1st. Brian's mother, who runs a child care service out of their residence, decided to go into Brian's room while he wasn't home. As she looked through some of Brian's things, his mother would make a startling discovery. A discovery that would rock the Cohee family, as well as the Grand Junction community, to the very core.
111 is John. What's the address emergency?
Hi, there is an emergency. I found something in my son's closet wrapped in a plastic bag.
Okay, what was it?
I think it's a human head.
It's a what?
I think it's a human head.
Why do you think it's that?
Because it looks like it's all an ear.
Is it bloody, or does it, like, anything like that?
I just need to come. So I had to take a picture and send it to you.
What's the address? Is your son there now?
He just pulled up. We wanted to make sure he was here before we called.
How old is he?
19. He's had a little bit of a fascination with the morbid, but he was channeling it, I thought, into becoming a crime scene investigator, but not so much.
Do you think he's going to be cooperative with us?
I don't know. I don't think he'll be violent. Just came back from his friend's house.
Does he have any weapons in his room, or do you guys have any in the house?
I don't know. I think that he has a shotgun, but we can certainly remove it immediately before he gets in his room. He's out by the car now, so.
Is the bag still in the closet?
No, it's in my kitchen sink. And there's a secondary bag that I have not opened.
The police would arrive soon after the 911 call was placed. For the Cohee family, their nightmare was just beginning. As far as the disappearance of Warren Barnes, well, answers would soon be revealed, detailing just how horrible a fate the reading man had suffered.
Okay, so parents have some concerns. Okay, where did you do that at?
Underneath the bridge.
Which bridge?
The one past.
Okay.
Near the weird intersection.
Okay. Do you have anything on you that's going to cut, poke, hurt, stick me anything without reaching for nothing? Don't reach for nothing.
My phone and my wallet, that's
okay.
it.
Well, I'm going to have you face that way, put your hands on top of your head for me real quick. I just want to make sure you interlace your fingers for me real quick, all right?
Go ahead. Phone.
Okay. How do you know this guy? How did you come across the gentleman?
I was driving.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a strange shape near the railway.
Uh-huh.
So I parked my car and investigated it.
Okay.
And I found it to be a man sleeping.
Okay. Where's the knife at?
It is in my sunken car. Well, it's in my car.
I have that.
Previously sunken.
This is going to be an invest, and I'll take it from there.
Okay. So, did that happen when you crashed your car? Or is that totally different?
That's related, but a different event.
Okay. How's it related?
Well, when I killed him, I tried disposing of his body by putting it in the river, but I parked too low in the river. And
where's the rest of his body at?
Huh?
Where's the rest of the body at?
What parts?
The body, Brian. Where's his body?
Down the river.
Okay. I'm going to have you walk over here. You're going to sit in the back of my partner's patrol car for a minute, okay? Not yet. Okay. Just sit back there and hang out for me, okay?
I had a bag feeling about what happened this weekend.
Okay.
And she said there's a bag in this closet, and she opened it up. And she called me and said, get over here right now. I covered it with a towel.
Okay.
I didn't want him to see it because we didn't want him to run. I don't want to look at it.
Yep. 22, 42, you clear for a call?
grab my water.
All right, I'm giving you a call.
Let me know whenever you want to start.
Yeah, let me get this figured out. Oh, yeah, you might want to call investigations. So, oh yeah, he already, I asked him what was going on. He said, I killed a guy. I stabbed him, that's his head. I dumped his body in the river. So I guess this guy's name is like Warren Brown or something. So, all right, I'm gonna secure the house. And he said there should be hands and the head's in the sink. The body is in the river. So, what's that? Yeah. What's that? Oh, does it sound by my voice that it looks real? It is. So.
Sorry, we're meeting this way.
No,
oh my God, I can't believe it.
At least it's not me in that car, you know?
I can't believe it.
Oh, got it.
Oh my God. It's kind of a time to not really know what to do, so.
I don't know what happened. At random, too. Why? I don't get it.
I don't have any answer. How old is Brian?
He's 19.
He's 19.
110-02.
Mom,
19.
what's your name?
My name's Terry.
Terry? Okay. Are you okay? Do you need any medical?
Well, we're waiting on a call from my doctor.
Okay. Okay. All right. So hang tight right here. I got to chat with my partners again, okay? He said it was the bridge here right by the jail. From what he's saying, it sounds like overpass, but we'll clarify.
It's right here.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah. Because there's an arm. Hey.
Search ever.
There's an arm, there's another arm.
Okay, hold on. Do some pictures. Start right now.
When, where, I don't know. I'm just as in the dark about this as you. Never been physical at all with any family members. Mom, dad, Brian, dogs. Never any, not a cool bone in his body. Never, ever, nothing. And as far as his friends know, he's never been in a fight in his life. Okay. He's never hit anybody. He's just like his dad. I mean, I've never been in a fight, man. I thought just like it's going to be a spin-off of me. Because he's non-violent, but he's not. I don't know what's going on now. Everything's different.
How did you get here?
I murdered someone.
Okay. But how did you get to my office?
Well, the police drove me here from my mom's house.
Okay. You said you murdered someone.
I did.
Did you know the person?
No.
No?
No. I was driving one night. I was in a, shall we say, bad state of mind.
Okay.
I saw a strange shape by the railway tracks, so I investigated, and it revealed me a homeless person sleeping.
Okay.
I presumed homeless, because he was there.
Okay.
So, I him to death.
Okay.
Then deleted his head and hands and arms.
Okay.
I then took the head and put it in my car trunk along with the hands in bags, plastic Ziploc bags. I took it back to my house, cleaned off the knife, tried to hide the head and hands, removed the trash in my car that was stained in blood. And then I tried sleeping. However, I was quite stupid, shall we say, because I decided that's too much evidence. The body needs to be dumped in the river. So I took the body in the trunk, drove it to the Blue Heron drop-off point, and unsuccessfully dumped the body as I parked too low down the ramp. The ramp is mud and dirt, so unless you have four-wheel drive, you're not getting out. And I was unable to get out, and my car flooded. Let's see, I killed him just after 11, February 27th, 2021. Is it okay if I do a demonstration?
Oh, yeah.
This is him. I was strapped on top of him like this.
Okay.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking a sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy. And during the time, I was growling and making animalistic noises.
Why were you doing that?
I suppose it was a frenzy.
Okay.
And then I left his body there. And then I took the head, put it in a leftover pizza box from the dinner a few nights ago. And then I took the hands, put them in the back, drove home, hid the hands and head in my room, cleaned the knife, threw away the garbage with the blood on it, and then put the blood stained, wasn't stained, it had splatters on it. I put it in the dish, in the washing machine. I didn't take my medicine, and plus for years I was wondering what murder would feel like, because like Ted Bundy and the Zodiac, they all say murder is the best feeling in the world. So I'm like, I'm going to try that.
Okay.
So for some time I had been wondering when it would happen. I always knew I would be in this building, whether it was as a criminal or a police officer.
Okay.
Because I was planning to go in the military, go into forensics.
Okay. All right.
And
how long do you really, honestly think you've been thinking about really at some point you wanted to know what murder felt like?
A year.
Okay.
I'm not a serial killer by no means. But with serial killers, there's different types of them. There's organized, disorganized, visionary, missionary.
I'm just wondering what gets you excited about doing it?
Well, I'm not really sexually attracted to it.
Okay. I was just asking.
It was just curiosity, more or less.
And you said you studied criminology and forensics and all that?
Not college study or school study. It's like a passing interest.
I understand. But what were you worried about, like leaving evidence behind or being caught?
Totally.
Tell me about that and what you did then.
Well, I was figuring the police don't. This is not to be taken offense, but police, they don't seem to care as much about high-risk individuals, homeless people, prostitutes, etc. So I was deliberately looking for someone who lived that type of life.
Okay.
And I found a homeless person, and the original goal was just leave him there. But I was worried about the fibers on the outfit I was wearing that would be on his clothes and stuff. So I deliberately messed up the clothes.
Okay.
Not cutting them up, just throwing them around. And I was worried about just how long it would take to find him, because it's a somewhat traveled road. Eventually someone with the windows down is going to smell something off. The police have a nose for that type of thing. They're trained to be able to identify the smell of a corpse. So that's where the river idea came from, because a river will wash away a lot of evidence. Rivers are quite tricky. And obviously that was botched.
Well, we just drive around and
just try and find
is anybody interesting in your mind thought of a plan?
Well, occasionally when you see girls walking down the street, I take a glance at them, because it really is like Ed Kemper, where half of me says, well, I'm quite inept with women. I'm being honest, I'm no Casanova. But half of me says, I want to take that girl home and make her feel nice. And the other half of me, it's just like what Ed said, is I want to see what her head looks like on a stick. So occasionally when I'm driving down the road, if I see someone that catches my eye, I'll just like...
If you had not been caught by your folks, what do you think you would have done next?
With the kid?
I don't know. No. Let's talk about like today. If you would have been able to get rid of the head, and your folks did not find it.
Well, it depends.
Okay.
Would you guys have been able to solve it if the body was found in the river, the head and hands were missing, and there were no fingerprints or DNA?
Well, we'd like to think so, but who knows?
Right, who knows? We'd love to think so, but
so let's say we didn't solve it. What happens next?
Then what would you have thought of to do next?
Well, I thought I would have been very careful, because I would have been worried at any moment this could become a cold case, and then it could be solved later on down the line. So I probably wouldn't have done it again, because that was just to see what it felt like. And if I had gotten away with it, I would have just kept the secret to the grave.
Brian Cohee Jr. was respectful and fully cooperative with the police. He detailed everything that went down, giving the police department all the evidence and information that they would need to charge him with murder. In 2023, Brian Cohee would go to court, where he pled not guilty by insanity. Brian's attorneys would argue that Brian's diagnosed mental health disorders, including major depressive disorder, ADHD, and autism, all played a role in what had occurred. Combine his mental health disorders with environmental stressors, and this caused him to become insane when he saw Barnes and subsequently killed him. Now, in order to be found legally insane in the state of Colorado, a person must be found incapable of distinguishing right from wrong at the time they commit the crime. Prosecutors ultimately argued that Brian had admitted to planning his kill. He was clearly targeting a homeless person and had admitted that it was on his mind for months. Following the murder, Brian also attempted to dispose of the body, which ultimately shows that he understood the consequences of what he had done. The jury would ultimately deliberate for 2 days before coming to a decision. Brian Cohee II was found guilty of first-degree murder. On top of this, Brian was also found guilty of tampering with a deceased human body and tampering with evidence. Brian's mother hoped that Brian would receive some leniency. She stated in court, "Brian is not the sum of his mental defects and his actions. He can, one day, affect society positively. He was a child who had the odds stacked against him from the beginning, a child who was loved, a child who was prayed for, and a child who had struggled for his entire life with emotions." Although Brian's family hoped for some leniency in the sentencing, the judge saw things differently. Ultimately, the judge stated that the case was one of the most horrific he had ever been involved with in 37 years in and around the criminal justice system. Brian Cohee II was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After watching the videos of Brian confessing and talking about what he did, I have to say that this sentencing was probably for the best. We'll never know if Brian would have killed again if he had not been caught the first time. Based on Brian's own statements, he didn't think he would ever commit another murder had he gotten away with it. It's clear that Brian needs mental help. What he did was horrifying in every way, and it appears Brian had zero remorse for his actions. Brian himself stated that he doesn't like people. That's ever more apparent with what he did to the kind, gentle reading man, Warren Barnes. In the end, I want to send my condolences to all of Warren Barnes' family and friends. No one deserves to be so horrifically harmed in the way he was. I also want to send my sympathies to the Cohee family. As a parent, I can't imagine what it was like to go through what they did, to find out your son committed such a horrifying act of brutality against another human being. I simply can't wrap my head around going through that. With all that said, thank you all for tuning in to another episode. If you enjoy the content, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel continue to grow. It's also very important that you hit the notification bell and turn on notifications, as you may not be alerted of my uploads if you don't do so. In the description box below, you'll find a link to my merch store and a link to the Cellar Dwellers membership tier for the channel. If you're interested, please take a moment to check those things out. If you'd like to submit your own scary story or any kind of story recommendation, you can do so using the email I have linked in the description box below. As always, I do all the research, writing, recording, and editing for the channel myself, so anything that you do to help support the channel is greatly appreciated. And until next time, I will see you all again as we head back into the cellar.